Episode 8 of Dexter Original Sin is out, and it's by far the most interesting and plot-heavy episode yet. We've seen the truth about Gio, there were a lot of Easter eggs included, even an unexpected cameo. Spencer's involvement in Nikki's kidnapping took another turn, NHI Killer was revealed, and Laura's fate has sealed as the big final moment of the episode. Hello everybody, my name is Eidolon. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Today we're gonna dive into the 8th episode of Dexter Original Sin. A lot of you guys have predicted the events of this episode, and it turns out that something I couldn't believe was possible turned out to be true. Now, because all the positive reactions and the support you guys have shown me through all those videos, I will be giving away these 2 keyboards from Royal Clutch. 2 winners will be announced when the video about the last episode is out. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is comment under this or any other video why would you like to get this keyboard or why do you need it. Hopefully it gets to someone in need. And yeah, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel, it means a lot to me. Now let's get to the episode. The episode starts with Nikki's kidnapper, we already know who that is, crushing some pills which he then uses to drop into a water bottle. We can then see Nikki still locked up, struggling, and he's being given the water bottle along with lunchbox. Nikki then eats and drinks the water without suspecting anything, and he falls asleep. When he's dozed and asleep, the kidnapper comes in to take Nikki's jersey. While taking his jersey, kidnapper says it's gonna be okay, and Nikki recognizes the voice and immediately calls him dad. At the end, the kidnapper takes off his mask, and you already know it's revealed that it's Captain Spencer. The next scene is at Morgan's, where Harry and Dexter talk for a bit. Harry is worried because Deb didn't come home last night. He also discovers that Gio is a bit older than he thought, and then he announces that he's headed to Tampa with La Guerta to investigate the NHI serial killer. He then tasks Dexter to find Deb. Wow, Harry should have won Father of the Year award. Dexter then manages to squeeze in a few seconds of Harry's time where he reveals to him that he suspects Spencer of kidnapping Nikki and offing Jimmy Powell. Harry is very upset when he hears this, and he tells Dexter that he's projecting and that this idea sounds crazy. Who's gonna tell him? Then we get some Gio and Deb. They are at his place. Everything seems to be going well in paradise. Gio invites Deb to his business trip to Bimini because he has to pick up something for his dad. I wonder what that is. Deb tells him that she has nothing to do anyway and decides to go with him. Meanwhile, Dexter is searching for Deb and he decides to ask Sophia for help, which led to their awkward interaction. Sophia wants to show Dexter that she has a new boyfriend. She then awkwardly makes out with him to make it look like they're in love, but little does she know, Dexter doesn't really care. He asks her about Deb's whereabouts, but because of their argument and everything Deb went through in general, she doesn't have a clue. All she can remember is Gio's last name, and that seems to be enough for Dexter to track him. After that, we see Harry waiting to pick up La Guerta. She's with some guy, it looks like they're dating, and what is interesting about this part is that La Guerta reveals to Harry that this unserious relationship is with Miguel Prado, who we know from the original Dexter series. I didn't expect them to even mention him, let alone see young Miguel in this series. That kind of surprised me. Honestly, good job. Anyways, on their drive to Tampa, Harry and La Guerta have a nice bonding moment. Harry opens up to her and reveals how much he's struggling with being a parent to Deb. He also tells her about Dory's death. La Guerta then reveals to him that she grew up without her mother as well. It seems like they are kind of growing on each other. We are then being taken back to Harry's flashback where Laura and Harry meet at a playground. Laura gives Harry an insight of Estrada's operation. He is happy that they are finally closing off on him. Laura on the other hand is not. She feels like there's something off, and she's right. Harry then proceeds to play with Dexter, and they had no idea that Estrada's men were watching them. As much as I hate to say it, Laura is done for. Back in the present, Miami Metro is still all fully invested in Nikki's kidnapping. Dexter manages to track Gio's address, then Camilla brings up older case files and offers Dexter to use her boat. Tanya explains to Dexter that those case files are a reward for impressing the boss, and that Spencer wants Dexter to review blood spatter on these cases. Dexter quickly realizes that Spencer doesn't want him to work on Nikki's case because he might find out the truth. It also gets crazy later in in the episode where we can see how great of a mask Spencer can put on. It looks very believable and no one but Dexter suspects him. Spencer then decides to go home to take a shower apparently, and Dexter decides to follow him. He probably shouldn't follow Spencer in Harry's truck because he could easily recognize him, but Dexter did it anyway. The scene then cuts to Deborah and Gio on a yacht heading to Bimini. It looks like everything is going perfectly for them. Harry and LaGuerta arrive at Petrie's house in Tampa, and it turns out it's not what they expected. Meanwhile, Dexter is tracking Spencer when he notices something suspicious. It looks like Spencer is giving a yellow bag to a drug dealer, and if we look closely, there's Nicky's jersey inside of this bag. He also tips this drug dealer by giving him some cash. Wow, Spencer is a menace. Dexter then follows this drug dealer to what it seems to be a cartel house. While he's inspecting the situation, he gets paged by Harry, who is still worried about Deb and expects Dexter to make finding Deb his first priority. Of course, Dexter had other priorities and he mentioned that he saw Spencer doing something weird. Harry gets mad at him and tells him that he's not a detective and he should focus on finding his sister. At this point, Harry has no idea that Dexter is onto something. Harry and LaGuerta then get a visit from Tampa's detectives who are responsible for Petrie's case. Detectives show them that Petrie isn't their suspect because his house is a literal crime scene in which he was the victim. By the blood spatter analysis they presented, Petrie suffered a brutal blunt force trauma. They also revealed that he was a psychiatrist, and I immediately knew what was going on, and you guys did too. They came to a conclusion that the suspect is one of 300 of Petrie's patients, and Harry will find out pretty soon who that is. We are then being treated with a flashback of Laura preparing for Estrada's meeting, and again there's a great Easter egg included. We see Brian painting Laura's nails with the exact color pattern of the prosthetic hand from the original Dexter series. This prosthetic hand belonged to one of the call girls, I think Monique was her name. There was also the whole Louise lore with this prosthetic hand, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, Laura and her kids get interrupted by Estrada's men, and even though they try to resist and fight them off, they are unable to do anything. Back in the present, Gio and Deb arrive in Bimini where Deborah meets Gio's friends and they go to a party. Deb notices a massive crate being loaded onto Gio's yacht, and when she asks him about it, his temper flares and he tries to distract her with a diamond bracelet he bought for her. Deborah then tells him she loves him and Gio doesn't say it back and kisses her instead. We soon learn why he doesn't say it back, and it's a really messed up situation. I'm gonna go through that as well. So when Dexter tracks down Gio's address and decides to visit him, he comes face to face with Ariana, who's Gio's fiancée. She doesn't seem surprised to learn about Deb and Gio's affair, and she's also kind enough to let Dexter know where Gio would have taken Deb. We obviously know that Gio is a criminal, but now we know that he's also a jerk. Yikes. Ariana then lets Dexter use her phone, on which he calls Camilla to ask her if he can borrow her boat. He then takes the boat to Bimini to pick up Deb. And also the boat's name is Slice of Pie, which is a huge reference to Camilla and her story with pie. Back in Tampa, Harry and LaGuerta are offered from the same two detectives to go through Petrie's patient's records at the station. It seems like a waste of time at first, but Harry quickly finds out something that connects all the dots. Harry sends LaGuerta to get them a coffee and he discovers a file with the name B. Moser. He realizes that Brian Moser was a patient of Petrie's and he even connects him to a parking lot victim. This is where we get a confirmation that Brian Moser, Dexter's brother, is the NHI killer. And I know a lot of you guys pointed this out even before this episode aired. I couldn't believe it, now it's obvious. Congratulations to everyone who made those predictions. What is interesting is that Brian started killing at the same time as Dexter, and it took them another 15 years for their first interaction. The scene then cuts back to Harry's flashback when Harry and Bobby are looking for Laura. Then they discover that someone broke in Laura's property and kidnapped her along with the kids. We then see that Laura and her kids are in the container at the shipyard, and we all know what happens in there. But before that scene, we see Deborah and Gio still in Bimini. When Gio has to make a call, Deborah decides to pick up her jacket which she left at the yacht, and of course, curious Deborah had to do a little snooping. Gio walks in on her and kicks her off the yacht, which not only caused their breakup, but also left Deb stranded in Bimini. Lucky for her, Dexter shows up and finds her sitting on the beach. They hug, leave Bimini, and have a little bonding talk on the way back home. Deb gets rid of Gio's bracelet by throwing it in an ocean. I guess this is the end for Deb and Gio. At first sight, it looked like Deborah and Dexter are going to spend the night together. They even talked about ordering pizza, but Dexter gets paged by Miami Metro and has to leave for work. Deborah ends up alone, sitting on her mom's chair crying. She is really going through a hard time here. At the end of the day, she lost everything. Now, this is where, in my opinion, the second most messed up scene happens in this episode. Miami Metro gets an anonymous tip that Nikki Spencer was spotted at a cartel stash house. Dexter almost thought that Aaron Spencer is innocent, which makes him second guess his instincts, but he immediately recognizes the house. SWAT team then raids the house along with Captain Spencer. They find Nikki's jersey, which was obviously planted by this drug dealer to whom Spencer gave this yellow bag. He then acts all violent and it looks like he's trying to escalate the situation by pressing cartel, and of course everything turns to a big shootout in which Bobby gets shot in the neck. I don't know what was the play here, but it's obvious that if Bobby ends up dying, it'd be Spencer's fault. Of course, they didn't find Nikki, which was the main goal, and Dexter realizes that Spencer planned all of this and that he could have prevented it if he'd just followed his instinct. It's pretty scary how good of a mask Spencer puts on in this situation. Nobody except Dexter is able to see through or even slightly suspect that it's him behind all this chaos. Before our final moment of this episode, we see LaGuerta and Harry getting drinks on their way back. While Harry is getting drinks for them, LaGuerta waits in a car and she discovers the file that Harry had stolen. This might not be a big deal, but does that mean LaGuerta knew about Brian Moser before anyone else did? We will see how Harry will explain that to her. After that, they get a call and caller tells them that Bobby was shot, so they rush their way back to Miami. For the final moment, we are being treated with the scene that we knew it was coming from the start. It's Laura with her kids in the container, and what happens next has always served as the darkest element of Dexter's origin story. Prado and his men begin to execute everyone in that container with a chainsaw. Laura tries to shield her kids' eyes, and we can see that Dexter was looking through the entire process as the episode ends with camera zooming into Dexter's eyes. This episode was probably the best episode yet. There were 5 bad guys included. Everything was greatly balanced from editing to transitions, even plot wise. They did an amazing job with this one. I think they are planning to make season 2. Do you guys think that's the case? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you with the next episode.
Peace out.